topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Illinois. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. This expert has been with us for several years now. And listen, it's so sad that people with the economy are having to look into bankruptcy law, or if they're fighting with the IRS. We found an attorney who handles both bankruptcy law and tax relief. So the first half of the show, we're going to be talking about bankruptcy law, and the second half we'll be talking about tax relief. One of the finest attorneys in the state of Illinois. Hello, Kevin Benjamin.
Hello, thank you for having me. How you doing?
It's so easy to do an introduction to you, Kevin.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, first of all, tell people about your law firm.
Well, it's Benjamin Legal Services, and basically it's more of a boutique style law firm concentrating in debt relief, taxes, and foreclosure issues. When I say taxes, it's more IRS controversy, IRS and state tax settlements, offering compromises, installment agreements, tax resolution, not your regular tax law advice, just resolving tax issues, because you could resolve them directly with the IRS or the state entities, or sometimes you could resolve them through a Chapter 13 or Chapter 7, discharge them, or Chapter 11. So there's all kinds of strategies to handle them, or you could, sometimes people have an issue, they come later. We handle the appeals. I'm a member of the U.S. tax court. We go to tax court if we have to. So we do whatever it takes to resolve your tax issue with the IRS, liens, levies, all that kind of stuff. Debt relief is all kinds of debt restructuring. There's your straight bankruptcy, getting out of debt. There's your reorganizations, Chapter 13, Chapter 11, strategies. Some debts are secured. Are you paying some in full, some less than in full? And that also relates to the foreclosures. Are we stopping a property sale, saving your home, restructuring it, paying back the arrears over 5 years or maybe more, maintaining the current mortgage, where the lender says you got to pay him the current mortgage plus all the arrears, or they're proceeding with the foreclosure in state court. They don't tell you there's another alternative. And a lot of lawyers don't tell you that either, because some of them don't do bankruptcy and they don't understand how it works. And when I say bankruptcy, I'm not talking about Chapter 7. I'm talking about keeping your house, which is like a Chapter 13 restructuring, or Chapter 11 in some cases, where you keep your house, you just pay back the arrears over time. It's called a maintain and cure, while you maintain the current mortgage payment. And then there's other bills, debts you have that sometimes you restructure, which, by the way, may help you pay the mortgage. So sometimes people are struggling with debt. I can't pay the mortgage payment, but we could restructure other debts, like maybe the car, or maybe the credit cards, or maybe eliminate them. And next thing you know, they can afford the mortgage. So they're just kind of not prioritizing their debts correctly. But so basically, it's consumers and businesses in financial distress, more specifically related to debt relief or restructuring, tax resolution, foreclosure, saving your houses. We do litigation, BK litigation. We do foreclosure defense. But most people, when they call for a foreclosure defense, they're just calling because they're a foreclosure. They think they got a defense, something, they want to keep their house. oftentimes they don't really have a defense other than the fact that something happened that made them fall behind. And I can resolve that with the push of a button in a federal court order, because when we stop the foreclosure and make the payments over time, we're not asking the bank. It's just done. I mean, the government actually encourages that. They want you to keep your house. The bank doesn't do it. The foreclosure defense litigation stuff, that's if there's really an issue of maybe improper payments or some kind of fraud on the bank or something like that. Which happens sometimes, but oftentimes it's a matter of money, or even the money is maybe there's garbage fees and just getting the right amounts going. Oftentimes people's stress can be relieved by hiring someone like myself or a lawyer like myself, because it's not usually Supreme Court. It's real stressful to somebody. It's your house. It's your business. You got employees. You have people relying on you. You don't want to feel like a failure. You got your family, employees. So, but restructuring is a lot easier than people think, and there's a lot more solutions than people realize. Which is why you call an expert or someone who concentrates in that area.
Kevin, that's something really important I wanted to stress, because people don't know all that you know. This is what you deal in every day. You've got so many ways to help people, don't you?
Yeah, I really do. Because the area we practice in, they all coincide. I mean, representing someone in a 7 or 13 or 11 or an IRS tax resolution matter, it's really a very similar analysis of how you undertake it. You look at a liquidation analysis of your assets in a Chapter 7 or 13 or 11. Same thing with the IRS, because you're going to negotiate the situation, which I'll get into on the next show a little more. So then there's also IRS standards for expenses, which you're negotiating with the IRS or the U.S. trustee maybe, or but there's a certain baseline of standards. Now, for a Chapter 7, 13, or 11 IRS standards compared to a tax resolution IRS standards, it's still the IRS standards, though they give different numbers for those. But it's basically trying to resolve, like in the tax matter, which we'll talk about next show, is the IRS will settle for the reasonable collection number. Reasonable collection potential is what they call it. So you got to analyze liquidation. There's discounts and credits, and what expenses can you take, or what maybe you need more than the standard. What's your income monthly? All that kind of stuff. Same thing on Chapter 7, 13, or 11. There's a means test where either the government tells you what your monthly payment could be, what you could afford, which is ridiculous, or depending on the means test, it's your actual expenses and income. But then what does that mean also? You can't say, I got a household of 2, and I mean, people do say this, and they spend $3,000. I got one right now. They spend $3,000 a month in food. No, Kevin, it's true. We go to dinner every night. No, I get it. It's true. 2 of you aren't getting $3,000. You're going to have to cut that down. So you got to have your budget, in line. You can't just be living large. Basically, Chapter 7 is for what they call the unfortunate debt or fresh start. It's not to be living large. Though people, they do well, they make money, they buy a house, things they can actually afford, right, for years. Something happens. Now you got a big nut, you lose some income. Now you're in trouble, and then your nut is higher, meaning your monthly operating, whether it's your personal budget or your business, and things snowball quickly. And there's also the depression, and there's the emotional aspect. So it's really tough. I mean, I can't tell you how many people are like really basically suicidal sometimes when they come, and then they're like, "Oh, you could do that, or I could just do this." But I owe $1 million in taxes. How am I ever going to pay it? Well, you're not. So you're going to pay. We're going to show what you can afford to pay or not pay, and that's how you reduce it. Or same thing in a bankruptcy. If you don't qualify for 7, you may qualify for a less than 100% plan in a Chapter 13. You're only paying a percentage of the debt, even pennies on the dollar. Same thing on a tax situation. It could be a settlement for pennies on the dollar, based upon your situation and how much you owe. and we'll get into more next session, is the negotiation with the IRS is not you're a master negotiator dealing with, I get pennies on the dollar. You get the reasonable collection number, and depending on how much you actually owe, it may be pennies on the dollar. You know what I'm saying? But it's still, that's the amount you're paying. And that's the the scam part with these national commercials. Oh, we settle for penny. No, you don't. You settle for the reasonable collection number. And some people settle a lot of money.
Jack, in Chicago, just text us. How do you know when it's time to file for foreclosure?
Well, we do the consumer, or we defend the foreclosure or stop the foreclosure. We don't file for the banks. The bank will file usually after 90 to 120 days to give you a default letter. Well, in Illinois, so there's two different kinds of states. There's the lien state and your judicial foreclosures. What does that mean? Illinois is like in the majority, same as Florida. Like it's, you got to file a lawsuit. It's judicial. You serve a summons and complaint, foreclosure. There's court dates. There's deadlines. There's discovery. They got to get a judgment. They got to prove it. You defend it. So it's a longer process. So the bank will wait 90 to 120 days. They'll send it to a foreclosure lawyer who, depending how busy they are, will file it either right away or it could be months later. But basically, it's when you're falling too far behind, or whatever the bank or the servicer decides. So then that's how the bank does it. Now, from our point of view, how do we stop it? Call me. I stop it right away. I mean, some people, like some calls this week that were good. They're actually just starting the foreclosure or haven't even filed it yet. Very easy to take care of. Oftentimes, someone's calling, "Hey, my house is being sold tomorrow or the next day." Yeah. Or sometimes it's bad news. Sorry, I checked it out. House was sold last week or yesterday. They didn't know. Which is then you're getting into the foreclosure defense, trying to stop a confirmation of sale and reverse it and all that kind of stuff. But basically, if you come to us before it's sold, you got to be able to catch up. We got to show a budget we can afford it. I'm saying, but oftentimes people can. So then, like I have some over 100,000 in arrears. So that's I've had some do that in Chapter 13. Sometimes, but 13 only goes 5 years max. So we had some go over, because in Chapter 11 for individual, not a corporation, there's no 5-year limit for taxes, one thing, but for mortgage arrears, that's more of a negotiation and a reasonable test. So, for example, we had one just confirmed a month ago or 2 months ago that just got closed out a couple of weeks ago. We did a Chapter 13 for a guy over $100,000. He's actually making the payments, fell behind. There's a debt limit thing too, but they got dismissed. We refiled it as an 11. And when the U.S. trustee called me, like, "What are you doing?" Well, he basically needed more than 5 years. He didn't need 20, but we just got to stretch it out a little bit. But now we have to negotiate with the creditor. It took a while, but they showed it. We showed the money, we showed the stuff. Bank went along, got it confirmed. Everybody's happy because you're paying people. You know what I'm saying? So, and the bank wants the money. You know what I'm saying? So you got to show you can pay and all that kind of stuff. I had one I'm about to file now. Someone did a 13, similar situation, but it's going to be an 130,000 in arrears. I mean, I've had $1 million in arrears, But also, I have one that we're going to file as a 13. So there's a thing called these dumb debt limit things, which is ridiculous, archaic, that they changed during COVID, but then only for 3 years, and it's sunsetted to June 21st, 2014. And one congressman, I think it was Rand Paul, stopped it. It's so dumb. But that's really, depending on where you are, we call it, it's not jurisdictional. So I told this person, I'm going to file as a 13 because it makes sense. Even some of the judges know that, unless someone objects. Now, why would someone object to it when they're getting paid? Well, some of the trusts do. You know what I'm saying? So I told this woman, if I have to, then if someone objects, and then I can't get that resolved, I'll file it as a Chapter 11. I'll do a motion to convert. It'd be a little more work for me, but basically, it's only a couple of debts. It's basically just a Chapter 13 and Chapter 11. The plans are more complex, blah, 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 be more, but I'll do it for her. But I told her, I said, try. It's not criminal to try, just file it. No one objects, people get paid. So, that could be pretty good.
We got a text in. Really enjoying your show. I've listened. This is my third show I've listened to. I have friends that tell me just send the creditors something. Is that really true, or am I throwing money away?
You're throwing money away, and you're also restarting the statute of limitations. That's probably the dumbest thing. That's not a smart thing to do. So, as a matter of fact, a lot of collection agencies, little trick when they call you, just send me $100, send me $20. It's good faith.
Right.
I'll do that for you. Boom. So maybe the statute of limitations would have expired in a month or 2 weeks or 4 months, whatever. Now it's reset. It could be 6 years, 10 years, depending on what kind of debt it is, and blah, blah, blah. And that's just, no. What's the point? Send him something for what? Are they going to be your friend now? Oh, he's sending me something. He owes me $20,000, but he's sending me $30 a month. Oh, okay. No. Don't be. So
it's better not to send anything than just a little bit.
It's worse to send something than not. It's better to send nothing. And it's even worse to listen to your friends who don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, friends mean well. Maybe they went on Google, or they want their wannabe lawyer who knows what I'm saying is they know because someone did. That's all crap. I'm saying just be smart. It's just business, by the way. It's these companies. I mean, I have people ask me, who pays them then? Nobody pays them. They're charging 20, 30, 40% interest. The banks are making $8-9 billion a year in overdraft fee. I mean, no one's it's wiped out, and they get a tax write-off for it. So that's all. Everyone's fine. You're not paying it. It's not being passed on to taxpayers. It's all a bunch of BS. You file a Chapter 7, for example, you can't file again for 8 years, and all of a sudden you're getting credit card offers again. Well, what do you know? They want you back. Hello, come on back. Let's get you again. Someone called me today, Kevin. Yeah, I know. If I do this, I'm on a personal Chapter 7 and maybe a corporate. And I was talking to him. He doesn't really know, and he says, "So I know I can't. My credit will be bad for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. No, it won't. There's no law that you can't obtain credit, and just because it's on your credit report, if it even stays on there, doesn't mean you can't get credit or the bank won't give you credit. It's ridiculous. But you got to reestablish your credit. And oftentimes the first step to getting your credit fixed is to get out of debt, because your credit score is partly your debt to income ratio, credit utilization rate, payment history. And by the way, there's different credit scores. There's 3 major credit bureaus. And by the way, there's different credit scores. Are you applying for a car or for a mortgage? Why is everything different? Because it's ridiculous, right? How come why isn't there a formula? There's the algorithms. How come no one knows them? They don't want to tell you why. They don't want you to have a good credit score. They don't want you to have terrible. They don't want you getting prime financing. But they want to be able to finance you. Oh, but your credit's bad. It's 12%, 15, 30. It's ridiculous. So it's just a game.
Kevin, are you familiar with a company called Lexus?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm reading this.
I've been wanting to ask you this. This company, and this is actually personal, I've had 2 accidents that were hit and runs. There was no one there. Just hit my car and left. No, nothing. And my insurance went sky high. And they told me the reason why is Lexus shows it as my fault. And which is not true, because they were both hit and runs. But I
don't know why Lexus. There's different kind of reports that I'm going to cut you off. So one thing is they're allegedly famous for is back in the day, legal research. They want you to subscribe. It's very expensive. But back in the day, it's actually worth it. Now it's, you don't really need it. We use them for due diligence. I pull reports on people, asset and lien searches, but they're only pulling information from the public records. They're not making a determination on anyone's issue. So I think, either you or someone else was misinformed. they're not telling the insurance company anything. Only the court's going to tell them what it is. But the insurance company may look at the report or say there's a judgment. I mean, who knows how they interpret it? Okay, but they're not. Not that I'm aware of. We use them for due diligence. I don't even use them for legal research. They may do other things, but they're not a court of law. So no, I wouldn't worry about it. There's other companies too.
We have another one here. Kevin, does your company help somebody get out of debt?
Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. We could file bankruptcy for you, get out of debt. Or we could restructure your debt. Or some debts aren't dischargeable and you get out of what you can, and it's a combination. That's why you talk to a professional. The consultation is usually free, for a reasonable amount of time. And that's exactly what we do. What we don't do, another example, phone call. I always try to use examples. A phone call today of the same person who was a 7 and 11 running both. He's like, I was going to do debt consolidation, but I got to thinking that was not wise. And I told him, of course, that was not wise. That's an absolute scam. All these companies on the radio, hey, there's secret laws that the credit card companies don't want you to know about. Ooh, but we tell you how it is. No, it's not bankruptcy. You just get out of debt and this all goes away. Okay, sure. So these debt consolidation companies, they're just marketing companies like these national tax resolution BS. They're just sucking you in. Oh, you make payments and then we save the money and we settle the money. No, they don't. Most of the money goes to them. They can't settle anything. They're not lawyers. They can't stop someone from being sued, and someone's going to sue you. So then they try to pretend, oh, no, you just get sued. We're going to defend you. No, they don't. They go on Craigslist or whatever, and they try to find lawyers like myself, whatever. Hey, we're a national, debt relief firm, and we need local attorneys to go. Wrong. You're saying it's just bad model. They can't do anything. First of all, they can't do anything you can't do yourself, right? And people say, "Well, just settle your debts." Okay, how much money get settled with? Well, how much do I need? Well, here's how it doesn't work. You don't negotiate with the creditors. How much? Okay, now that we know the number. Oh, I'm sorry, we have the number, but now my client doesn't have the money. That's not how it works. Okay, money talks, right? So How much do you have to settle with? Well, most clients say, well, nothing. Well, there you go. So you're not settling your debt. Oh, you're going to do a monthly payment to a debt consolidation company. They're going to do BS, right? You got 10 creditors, what they're settling, and then if they even do settle a couple, the rest sue you. You wind up filing bankruptcy. All that money's gone. You paid them, and you pay those settlements, and you pay the other stuff. And meanwhile, while you're doing that, it's all on your credit report. It's currently negative. Okay. Now, a bankruptcy, guess what? Oftentimes your credit score goes up. Kevin, can't be. I heard it does. Okay. Because your debt to income ratio, which is part of your score, now goes to maybe 0, depending on if it's all unsecured debt, right? Plus, you file the case. So now that you file the case, it's 1 month behind you, 2 months, 2 years, 3. Now it's behind. Now you establish credit again, right? So boom. So in other words, you bring it to a head. If you're just making some payments, it's just always currently bad for years. It never gets better. And I guarantee you get no brownie points for, hey, he wants a mortgage or he owes all this money, but hey, man, he didn't file bankruptcy. Let's give him a loan. No, they're not. Because you're going to file bankruptcy because you're going down. That's the model. That income ratio is 100%. You're not getting a loan. Oh, but my credit, I pay my credit scores. No, it's not. I don't care what the number is. They look at the ratio and credit utilization and all the other stuff like that. So don't be fooling yourself. And the clients who call me or the potential ones who keep harping on their credit score, I tell them it'll probably go up, but I don't know until I file the case because I don't know what all your stuff is. But if you're so worried about your credit score, then pay your bills. There's the answer. There you go. Pay everybody off. Otherwise, well, how am I going to get a mortgage if I file a bankruptcy? Easy. You can even do it while you're in bankruptcy. 13 or even all the time, twice on Sunday. I mean, it's ridiculous. People think they can't get loans. You still got to qualify for a loan. How much money do you need? Also, if you filed, a year ago, what have you done since then? You're in trouble again. Then you're a mess again. You know what I'm saying? But even getting an apartment or something like that. Who would you rather rent to? Someone who's filed bankruptcy and now has no more debt. They got a job. Great. Or someone, well, they didn't file, but they got the foreclosure, was a foreclosure, they got judgment liens, all this debt. Oh yeah, sure. They're going to wind up walking out on my lease and filing on me too. No way, right? So,
Right.
okay, well, I'm renting a house to pull in my credit. They're pulling your credit to see if you've got judgments, not all other stuff. The bankruptcy would show you can't do it again for 8 years. That's why getting a car is so easy. A car loan goes what used to be 5 years, that goes 6, 7, 8 years. You can't file again for 8 years. Plus, the secured car helps report to the credit bureau, right? And you got no other debt. They give you car loans all day, no problem. We finance them, car, get lease, the whole thing. So it's all a bunch of BS. But people do what they want.
Kevin, we're getting all kind of questions. This one wants to know, I own a business. Can you file bankruptcy on your business and personal?
Well, that's a great question. That was another one example I was just giving you. That was what the guy was asking today. I mean, the answer is yes. Okay. So,
two different ones, Kevin? Two
what?
different types of
one's personal, one's business. So
right.
Now, a lot of people are small businesses, right? So, for example, this person this morning I talked to for an hour, or almost an hour. He had business credit cards and personal credit cards. But when I went over with them, like most business owners, you may have a credit card in the business name, but you're still personally liable for it. Sometimes you're not, depending on the business score. But most people, you got a card in your business name, but you're still personal. It's on your credit report. You're still liable for it. So you want to get off all business loans, whatever. You file Chapter 7, you list all your business creditors, because anybody who may even think you're liable, you want off the personal liability. So now the company will still owe the money if they do, right? So now, is the corporation staying in business or not? Oftentimes people think, I got to file on my company. Well, maybe not. What kind of company is it? And if you're like insolvent and you're out of business, close the doors. You know what I'm saying? Because, right. I may be doing I've done some corporate Chapter 7s, but you got to be careful on that. Okay. Because why are you doing it? Well, a Chapter 7 for a corporation, you're dissolving, you're unwinding the company. Another way to unwind a company is through the Secretary of State. There's a process, just unwind and file, your documents and that kind of stuff. Third way is just do nothing, close the doors, and I'm out of business. So, but on a bankruptcy, so you having the Chapter 7 trustee do it. So you got to be careful, because what kind of business was it, and how many people were involved, and how much money did you take from the business? Because in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, a 7 trustee, their first thing they're looking for is to try to make money. They make money by finding assets. And one thing they really do is what they call preferential transfers or fraudulent transfers. That is when you're paying yourself or an insider improperly, you're milking the company. So you can go back 2 years per the bankruptcy code, or like Illinois, 4 years, or sometimes even 10. I mean, depending on situations, that all comes back if you have it, saying, but there's not litigation. I mean, or if they pay somebody else, your brother, your friend, next. So it's a whole mess. So it's not a matter of, I'm just doing this. So you got to be careful on how you're doing it. I may be doing one right now for somebody because they're, I checked it out. It was an SBA loan. The guy wasn't personally liable. He didn't take any money out of it or anything. So he wants to do it. So pay me a fine. But oftentimes you don't need it. So like today, the person talks about, I can keep my business. Yeah, you can keep your business. But are you in business? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you making any money? Right? So otherwise, see, a Chapter 7 for a corporation, the business does not get a discharge. You just close down, right? And because you file personally, any business debtors aren't going to go after you personally because you file, right? I mean, that's like committing fraud or, misrepresentation, all that kind of BS. So you want to, and oftentimes you file the personal one too, is because before anybody hires a lawyer and spends money to go see about that, maybe they just go away because you're filing it. Otherwise, if someone's chasing you around and they spend 10, 20, 50,000, depending on the situation, even more on a lawyer, they're not going away. They're that much invested. So you want to sometimes just put it to bed. And also what kind of, is there equipment? Is there anything to liquidate? So like today, I explained the credit cards, he won't be personally liable. The business ones still technically would be liable. Whether the bank does anything about it is another story. Okay. But also I explained that corporation doesn't get a discharge. So start a new company. Oh, people think, I'll start a new company. Well, you can't do an alter ego in the same name. And so you got to do a proper way, but you could do it. People, I want to keep that name. Well, don't file 7, because even if you file 7, it goes smoothly. If you use the company, even though the company filed the Chapter 7, you use the company, there's money there, they still owe it. So, you can't have everything, right? So this person's like, I'll restructure. He only has a certain amount of debt, wasn't even worth the legal fees to restructure, and he didn't have any, the company wasn't even making that much money. So, it wasn't worthwhile. But the short answer is, yeah, you can do both. Sometimes you should. Okay. Now, sometimes you do a 7 because you got personal stuff. Maybe you're doing a Chapter 11 restructuring of debt. I'm saying, so there's, you're keeping the company alive. You're a debtor in possession. You're still running the business, all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, on an individual case, I should explain your interest in your business, but just like ownership on public stock or anything, you disclose it's an asset. And there's different businesses, but oftentimes people's business, like myself, I'm a small business owner, right? So often, or I'm a service business, right? So oftentimes your business is really worth nothing because it's you. So maybe you're doing a service business, or whatever you're doing. So you can have a business, you just list it. The only interest a separate trustee would have in the business is whatever interest you have. Are they going to try to take over the business and run it? Well, in this example today, as a matter of fact, I went over that and I said, no. The guy had some inventory, right? So, but the inventory was equal to about what the company is actually liable for. So the company's still insolvent. So no one's taken over the business, and who's doing the sales? Without the debtor, no one's selling anything. And if they were, they got the trustee would have to pay the money to the credit card company that had the security lien who bought the inventory with. There's nothing there. So you simply disclose it. It's not worth anything. And you could have it if you want to. And then a different animal. So like this person, I said, well, do your 7. And then we'll talk about, are you going to stay in business on this 11 or start a new one on the on the other company, or try to resolve the debts other ways. So that's what you have a lawyer for.
I want to get this final bankruptcy question in from Milton. He wants to know, if my company has no assets, though we do have money coming in, can the IRS take that away from me?
If your business has assets or no assets?
Has no assets.
Can the IRS take your business?
Yes.
Well, first of all, what kind of business is it? Talking about service business, or the IRS? All they do is they do liens and levies. Okay, so like a tax lien could be on all your personal or real property, no matter where it is, or even acquired afterwards. Okay, it's a lien. So, like if you go, like I have some right now in Wisconsin, there's tax liens all over the place. I'm trying to have the guy refinance his house to pay off some of those. The IRS is settling for it, and other liens are getting wiped out. But the reason you have liens is if you go to sell the property, someone, like say you're selling your house and you have judgment liens or tax liens, they pull up, like in this case, they pull a title commitment. Those have to be resolved. It's no different than back in the short sale days with the real estate. Oh, there's 2 or 3 mortgages, but house only with $100,000, you got 300. Yeah, so it's only secured up to the amount of security. So like I have several of these going with the IRS right now. They will either discharge the lien or subrogate it. However it is, they're on notice. So they want to see, okay, great, where's the money going? So I have a guy over $1 million in taxes that wants to take $300,000 on a refinance. Fine, but all the money's going to the IRS. Of course, they're going to take care of it because they're getting the money.
Right.
we want 50 grand, we want 100, then we got to negotiate with the IRS and show why. And then, so you can't just take it. That's what the liens are for. So the lien is only a security interest. Then the levy, right? Levy your bank account, levy this. They're not going to take your business. What are they going to do with it? You know what I'm saying? Are they going to take the cash flow of the business? Are you like, do you like, sometimes people have the payroll tax issue, right? They borrowed the money from the government on the taxes. There's who's that guy, Michael, whatever, the all mafioso. He had the biggest mafia scam. It was the gas tax. You may have heard of that. Michael, I know his face too. He's a funny guy. So he was getting all these gas stations. You know how you have the tax on the gas? He was just keeping it for the bottom. And then he has changed company names and buy new gas stations, making buku millions. He's got like 20-something years old, making buku millions of dollars. You don't need to go whack people and go shake down on the prostitutes or the gambling or the protection money. He was just white collar, pure crime. He eventually got caught. But it's funny. He has all these YouTube videos. He talks about how back then when he was younger and he had planes, helicopters, he has like all this money coming in. It's like $1 million a day. It was just like taking. He just changed corporations.
Wow.
So it's very similar, on this stuff. Payroll tax. So like you pay the employees and they count on you to pay the tax.
Yes.
The government was counting on him to pay the tax, only he just didn't give it, right? So some employers kind of borrow that money. That's not good. So that's then even though it's a business, that you're personally liable for the payroll tax. So you got to resolve that. So if you have assets, they could take them, but they're not taking your business. So now they may have a lien on the company. Maybe you got some cash flow going. Some of this is more of a consultation someone needs to have with me than a 30-second answer, because there's all kinds of questions I have about the situation. But in general, I don't see that happening.
Hey, Kevin, before we go into tax relief, give everybody your phone number and your website.
Kevin Benjamin, benjaminlaw.com, 312-853-3100, 312-853-3100, benjaminlaw.com. Give us a call, visit the website. There is a Calendly link. You can make an appointment. You could also on the website just submit your name. I'll get the contact information. I can call you. So it's very easy. Consultation's free, whether it's in person or Zoom or on the phone. Happy to discuss the situation. And the reason for a free consultation, which is usually what I give, okay, is because most people don't know what they need or want. They know what they know something. You know what I'm saying? They know that they need help. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
They think I need a chapter 12. That's farmers. You know what I'm saying? Or I heard I can't do this, Kevin. I know I can't. Tell me, maybe you can't. I'm on the phone with you. Let me talk to you, and I'll give you an opinion. Someone called yesterday. I talked to a bankruptcy lawyer. I know I can't do this. Told me that 3 times. So I said, okay, well, then this person must know so much more than me. You're calling me. So it's like, I'm also a bankruptcy lawyer, over 35 years. Okay. So maybe I'll give you my opinion if you want to. And that's the one we're doing in the chapter 13. I was told I can't do it. Well, technically you're right. You're over the debt limit, but someone's got to object. They mentioned the government, but they don't do that because that's a national company. That's a big company in Chicago. They're just doing simple sevens. They don't do complicated cases, and they don't have anybody like me. You're talking to a law clerk or a sales guy,
Right.
First year law person. They're just looking for an easy case. How you do it? Okay, we can't do this next. They're the McDonald's of bank. Just easy. And that's a different business model. You could do a lot of simple cases, make a little money, but times a million cases, you're making some big dough. That's the McDonald's method, right? How much you making on a hamburger for $1? You know what I'm saying? But you sell 5 billion of them. Hey, you made some money. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's what I hate when people call and say, I know I can't. And some of them are just innocent. Kevin, I know I can't discharge taxes. Well, hold on. Who told you that? Because generally speaking,
you spend half your time,
taxes, but sometimes you can't. You can't discharge IRS taxes unless you can. Okay, and then when people come in, this is part of the tax section too. So you could discharge even in bankruptcy taxes under certain conditions. But like most people, like I had some tax calls yesterday. I owe $30,000 So I get it. To you, that's what you owe, right? To me, it's like, okay, what tax year and how much of that $70,000 is for 7 years? How much is for each year? How much is penalties and interest? Do you qualify for penalty abatement? Okay, which you don't abate the interest, but when you abate the penalty, it reverses, right? And then every tax year, can you discharge that one in bankruptcy or not? If so, when? Also, if not bankruptcy, what does the C said, the collection statute expiration date of the IRS on each tax year? So that $70,000 is broken down to different years. Oh, $4,000 expires now. So now that's how, as a lawyer and a tax resolution person, I say, well, I could discharge it, or I could just wind the clock down on part of that, I'm saying, and then only pay this. Also, know when the deadlines are. And of course, there's exceptions to deadlines. They're called tolling events, right? Were you in a prior bankruptcy is tolling? Were you in an offer of compromise? So you got to calculate all those. That's why even someone who knows, well, it's 10 years. Well, okay, but what are the tolling events? That's why you have a tax person look into it, because I'm a lawyer. I deal in facts, okay? So you telling me the problem, I'm listening to your problem. I'm thinking 70,000. I'm thinking, how many years? How many? Can it discharge? What can I do? So that's what had me. I'm the quarterback looking down the field, trying to read the defense, so to speak. But what's the plan A, plan B, sub 1, sub 2? What if? I always call my clients, I'm the what if man, right? What if this happens? And sometimes they don't want to hear it, and sometimes I get it, because most times when I say what if, it's probably not going to happen. But my job is what if it does? you know what I'm saying? So I got someone right now in a big case. They're being sued for a lot of money, in a bankruptcy, and I'm disclosing certain things, which we have to do, by the way. And but it's like, well, what, Kevin, this is never going to happen. Probably not. But what if it does?
Yes.
So do it right. Do it the right way. Like the guy today on the business thing, they were kind of had some things they were doing. They thought he was doing right. And I said, well, that could be no good. Now, he didn't do anything wrong at the time, but what he was about to do, he wasn't thinking he was doing something wrong. But if you start doing it all kind, but that's why you have a lawyer. It's bankruptcy planning. I told him this is easy to fix. And when do you file one case? When do you file the other? Or when do you file your case? So, like, for example, maybe taxes. Maybe you're filing maybe set up for a different reason, not the taxes. But I look at the taxes and say, wait a second, you got $20,000 in taxes. If I file now, you owe $20,000. If I file next month, it's dischargeable. Are we waiting? Well, it depends. I mean, why are we filing today? Because someone's garnishing $40,000 out of your bank account? Well, then maybe we got to file anyway. Or, there's a sale date on your house, got to file. I'm saying, but what are the facts, time frames, bankruptcy planning? What are the exemptions? What can you keep? How do you plan the exemptions? How do you take the exemptions? How do you, massage that? So it's not just filling out forms. No, it's bankruptcy. I just fill out paperwork. Good luck with that. I got a client right now, banned from, I wasn't the lawyer. Actually, she was pro se. How'd that work out? Just fill out some forms. Then she hired a lawyer who withdrew, and now they're coming after her for all this stuff. And it's like, wow. I'm saying,
now you got to clean up the mess.
You clean up the, but thing is, I can't. You're saying, because I know how to do it. I know what the trustee's looking for, what's reasonable, and what's not, and you got to stop doing the bad stuff.
I hear you. How can a tax lawyer help a person who's in a tax dispute with the IRS?
Who's in the taxes with the IRS? Okay, so how do you resolve it? You mean?
Yes.
So there's different programs. So, for example, you owe money to the IRS, and they've been really aggressive since January 1, 2024 with the COVID stuff. So they were kind of backing off for a couple of years. That's over. And coming this January, February, you're going to have more liens and levies and collection activity, because They got billions of dollars from Congress from that COVID thing to hire more agents to go after people, and it's back to the old days. Okay, so they're coming and they're coming hard, but that doesn't mean they don't want to resolve it. Okay, so again, it goes to the reasonable collection potential. So that's how you negotiate with them. So there's several overall programs, right? So there's your offer and compromise, which everyone's on marketing online. Then there's your installment agreements, and there's different kinds. Then they have what's called CNC, currently non-collectible. And one is also effective tax administration, which basically means this is unconscionable to even, I'm such a screwed up, there's no way just go away. Currently non-collectible basically is just, it's a hardship right now if the IRS were to collect, so they'll back off. But they don't go away on a currently, it's currently non-collectible for up to 2 years. They may go away for 2 years. Every couple months they may see maybe now you're collectible. Because if it's taking your house or your wages, money from the bank, if it's really causing you can't eat, they can't do it. They won't do it. Okay. So effective tax administration is better. It's kind of like goes away. Currently non-collectible doesn't really solve the problem. But maybe you are currently non-collectible, maybe you need it. I'm saying there's also innocent spouse we can discuss as well. But so basically those offer and compromise or installment agreement. An installment agreement could be full pay or it could be partial pay, paying less. Offer and compromise could be settling for pennies on the dollar up front, maybe over 6 months, but how do you qualify for it? And you may qualify for more than one of those. That's why you had the professional. Again, just like if I'm analyzing a bankruptcy case, right? What are your options, the pros and cons of each one? What's it called? What's for your situation? What's the best thing? Because everyone says, no, here's people call me. So I want to, what's your fee? Hello, I've talked to you for 3 seconds. I have no clue. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I just have an easy, nothing's easy. It's so easy now calling me, trust me. Okay. And oftentimes maybe they use the wrong term. They're asking for, but there are companies and even law firms that will, offer compromise. It says, Chapter 7 is this. How do you know? Right. So how do you even qualify for it? So those I don't even take. Sometimes they just say, okay, Kevin, and we start talking. Otherwise, if they keep insisting, you're just on the phone shopping around, just go. Here's my competitor's phone numbers. Just call them. Okay, go waste their time, please. I'm just here to help. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm giving you a free consultation, you're not wasting my time. I just go pound sand, right? So they don't know what they need. So you settle for the reasonable number. So on a bankruptcy, I'm analyzing all the kinds of cases, what you qualify for, what's best for your situation, or when. And then the same thing on the IRS. Do you qualify for a partial pay installment? How does that compare to the offer and compromise? And how is the government going to look at it from their perspective? Okay, because which one am I going to submit, right? And even on each one, it's probably a range of numbers that after I do my intake and document and I do my financial analysis, because I know maybe in your case, on your assets, the values I could be argued this way or this way, some of the expenses this way or that way. Maybe the IRS will look here, I'll look there. So there could be a range of what would take. That's part of the negotiation. So do I start with this number or that number, or do we go here? So then, on a partial pay or even a full pay installment or partial pay, you're paying over time, maybe 72 months on an installment agreement, right? So the IRS will get 100 grand, okay? I'm obviously making that up. On an offer and compromise, maybe they're getting, 60 grand. Well, they want the 100 grand, right? Maybe.
Right.
But then again, you got to factor in a bird in the hand is that what it's called? So
yes,
what's the present value of that 100? Because 100 grand over in my example, 100 grand over 72 months. Well, suppose they don't make every payment for 72 months, which is probably happens a lot, right? Same in Chapter 15 bankruptcies. People things happen.
We only have a minute left. Give everybody your phone number and your website again.
Kevin Benjamin, benjaminlaw.com, 312-853-3100, 3100. My last point I was trying to say is I got to negotiate with the IRS. And that example is maybe they may think 60 grand now compared to the risk of waiting. Is that worth it to them? That's part of the negotiation. That's another reason you have a professional. Call me, Kevin Benjamin Legal Services at benjaminlaw.com, 312-853-3100.
Kevin will be back again with us next month. Kevin, have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. We are so blessed to have you. You're a world of information.
Thank you. See you later.
Thanks, Kevin.
Bye-bye.
It's attorney Kevin Benjamin. That's it for us today. We'll be back again with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Thank you, Rebel.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.